Starting with the latissimus dorsi. Start by pulling at that border with the forceps. Again, outlining latissimus dorsi. Make our first incision. Going back with the handle of the forceps. Next incision is going to be at the border here with the trapezius. Again with the handle of the forceps. And push the blunt probe through here and cut against it. We've now separated the trapezius from latissimus dorsi. Again, come back under latissimus dorsi with the handle of the forceps and find those handles over here at the other border. Now with the finger under latissimus dorsi, working under it all the way up into the axillary region of the arm, and again back to the vertebrae. I'm going to continue my incision here. Pulling latissimus dorsi away from pectoralis minor. Now to cut latissimus dorsi away from the arm. Again, remember the blunt side of the scissors go inside the animal, the pointy side stay outside. Now we can see latissimus dorsi reflected. Next thing we want to do is, of course, more cleaning here to this fat pad to locate another muscle. As I do this, I grab the back of the cat's arm, pull it cranially, stretching serratus anterior muscle out. This is what I'm attempting to clean up. Notice that once clean, we can see that serratus anterior connects to the posterior portion of the scapula, and it has projections that run out onto the ribs. This is all serratus anterior. They look kind of like fingers that stretch out onto the ribs themselves. Also, if we look at this edge of them, they resemble the edge of a serrated knife. Serratus anterior. Now looking at the ventral surface of the thoracic cavity, we want to identify both pectoralis minor and pectoralis major. Here I'm working under the first border, the more posterior border of pectoralis minor. Next, I'll work between the border of pectoralis major and pectoralis minor. And lastly, working through this more cranial border of pectoralis major. Now we can easily identify pectoralis major, located more cranially on the animal, and pectoralis minor, located more caudally on the animal. Now we will return to the ventral surface. Recall that we've already reflected Latissimus dorsi, and we've already begun reflecting the trapezius. The next muscle we want to look for attaches across the scapular spine. If you palpate with your finger, you can feel that scapular spine. Scapular spine runs right through here. We can also see the faint borders of an additional muscle right here. This is levator scapulae. This is the next muscle we want to dissect, as it will help us finish dissecting trapezius, as well as we're going to preserve this muscle to help hold the arm to the body. After that initial incision, work under it with a blunt probe and search for that more cranial border. Pulling the muscle away from the arm with the probe, we can return and make an additional incision. Here's our levator scapulae muscle, preserved in order to hold the arm to the body. Now we need to make an incision across here in order to reflect the trapezius. We have a new cut right here. We can work under that side with the blunt probe. You can see we have come out the other side. Now work the blunt probe as hard and as close down to that scapular spine as possible. And that will be our next incision. I will lengthen the incision here next to levator scapulae, allowing me to completely reflect the trapezius. Once again, as we are a layer of muscles deeper, we have some more connective tissue to clean. We have now exposed the rhomboidus muscles. And all of the rhomboidus muscles through here. We can now just see underneath the scapula, and my probe is touching subscapularis. Returning to the region of the scapula. Now that we have removed the trapezius, again with some slight cleaning, we can see a few more muscles. Here we see teres major. Through here we see the sphenodeltoid. Again, sphenodeltoid. The scapular spine runs right through here. That allows us to identify this as infraspinatus muscle, and here as supraspinatus muscle. Infraspinatus and supraspinatus. Sphenodeltoid, teres major. Going to cut away one of the insertion points of the pectoralis muscles. Again, repeating the same process. Starting to see here biceps brachii. We want to preserve that as we're exposing it. And now we have liberated the arm from the pectoralis muscles. As they are reflected towards the chest, towards the midline, we expose the brachial plexus. Again, everything through here, the brachial plexus. Pectoralis muscles reflected to the midline, again exposing that brachial plexus. This also provides us an excellent view of biceps brachii. Biceps brachii, again located on the medial side of the arm. Returning to the lateral surface of the arm, we can dissect the triceps. Bright, shiny connective tissue here is part of triceps long head. Through here is the border between triceps long head and triceps lateral head. We want to separate the two. We also want to work the border of triceps lateral head on this side. See the probe burst through at the border there? We're going to cut through triceps lateral head. Notice I'm cutting against my probe. Once we have freed triceps lateral head, we can find triceps medial head. So again, the three triceps. The most posterior or caudal part of the arm, we find triceps long head. On the lateral side of the arm, we find triceps lateral head. And if we reflect triceps lateral head and look deep to it, we can see triceps medial head. Triceps medial head. With triceps lateral head reflected, we can also see our brachialis muscle. Brachialis. Now looking at the anterior surface of the arm, or the more cranial surface, again we can see biceps brachii on the medial side of the arm, and we can see brachialis on the more lateral side of the arm. Biceps brachii, brachialis. Last muscle we're going to identify is brachioradialis. Stretching the forearm out, we can see brachioradialis along the surface here, but we want to be able to isolate it.